Hey guys, it's Rogowy here and another tutorial. Today we are looking at a variety of things, mainly ways to add digital makeup, also how to create photos with selective color, or a touch of color is what I like to call it, but it's called selective coloring. And we're also going to look at a little bit of blending modes and effects that we can add to our photos to make them a little more interesting if you had the need to do this at some point. So let's look at the first one. We're going to open up the file called blonde.jpg. It's this one right here. Actually, before we get started, let's look at the files we're going to be working with. We got on the stairs. We got a barbed wire tattoo. We got her. We got Lady Gaga, I believe. And we got another tattoo. And we're going to look at ways that we can combine different things together. So let's open up blonde.jpg into Photoshop. All right. Now guys, those of you who are listening to this, and I'm talking about guys specifically, you're going to have to get in touch with your feminine side a little bit here. No big deal. All right. So here we go. We got this very pretty blonde girl here, and we're going to add a new layer. So if your layers aren't showing, go to Window, Layers, make sure it's showing, and at the bottom here, click New Layer. All right. There we go. Also, you'll notice I got my history palette showing, so Window, History to get that showing, and sometimes it's going to come up like that. Small. You want to stretch it down so that you can see all the things you're doing to the image. We'll talk a little bit about the history palette. Hopefully you use that from time to time. So right now, what do we got? We got a blank layer on top of the background layer with the blonde girl's image. One thing very important here that I gotta mention at the start of all my videos: I take no credit for the images that I'm using in my tutorials. This is for education purposes only. I do not take any credit for the images that I am using. All right, that's very important. Let's go to our paintbrush, shortcut B. And remember from last tutorial, we can use the bracket keys to make our brush smaller or bigger. And we're going to look for a color here that she would want in her hair. Now, if this was me, bright pink would be my choice. And we're going to paint over a strand of her hair. As you can see, we follow that around. And don't worry about making it perfect. All right, so we kind of got something like that. Let's go over another strand, something like that. All right, nice. Nice. Let's go with the second color. I don't know. I'm no fashionista here, but pink and green would probably not look good. So I'm going to just add a second color in here. And all I'm doing is I'm following the strands of hair. All right, she's got some curlies going on, sure. It looks like crap, I get it, but not for long. We've got the highlights, let's call them highlights. Actually, let's name that layer highlights. There we go. And so we got highlights sitting over top of the background. And I'm just turning on and off the eye so that you can see what's underneath. So we got this really horrible kindergarten looking drawing over top of our background image. Looks like it could have been done in MS Paint. Sorry, I don't know if anybody out there uses that, but looks bad. So let's make it look good. First thing we want to do is we want to change our blending modes, and blending modes are very handy because we can change the way that layers interact with one another. So go to where it says normal above your layers right now and change it to multiply. it doesn't look a whole heck of a lot better, except now the fact that our color does actually blend in with her hair underneath. And so what I'm going to do is just very carefully, I'm going to use the eraser tool here, and I'm just going to erase some of the parts where it went off really bad. All right, I'm just going to erase some of those a little bit. Ooh, green and pink, what was I thinking? Who cares? It's okay, it's for the tutorial. All right, I'm just going to erase some of the parts where it goes off and make it fit a little bit better so that it doesn't look like a 2-year-old drew it. A little bit like that. Now, it still looks bad. It still looks really fake. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Filter, we're going to go to Blur, we're going to go Gaussian Blur. And we're going to crank it until our highlights kind of blend in with the hair underneath. Now if you go too much, you lose it completely. So you want to just tone it back so you still have the highlights over the hair, but it's blurred now. All right, so we hit OK. And now we can go into our highlights layer and lower the opacity of that to a point where it looks somewhat natural. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, so save that file. Let's save it to the desktop or wherever. Call it blonde, sure. Save. So that's highlights. And by tweaking the colors and adjusting how much you blur it and your opacity, you can actually get a pretty realistic looking result if you take the time and make it really good. So let's close that. I saved it, so I'm going to hit don't save. Next, we're going to look at number 2, which is Gaga. There she is. Now, you know what? Just for review's sake, we could just really quickly add a new layer and do the exact same thing. I'll just take a paintbrush and a red highlight this time. All right, we can do it really quick. Once you get good at it, you can just do it super fast. So we're just going to draw a highlight here and maybe a highlight here following her hair. And don't worry too much about making it perfect, because that blurring thing that you do later will really hide a lot of your mistakes anyways. So there's some highlights. Again, get in the habit of naming your layers. I'm going to call it highlight. All right. And change your blending mode to multiply. And go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Tweak it. Ooh, this one looks really bad for some reason. This one looks really a lot worse than the last one for some reason. So, okay. I'm going to pull back my opacity and use my eraser just to hide some of the parts that really went off of her hair, like there and there. Again, you don't want it to be overly bright because it's going to look fake. Although it does, for whatever reason, this one turned out pretty bad. Okay, so there's a highlight in her hair. Next, what we're going to do in this case, we're going to do a little bit of color balance. And color balance can be really fun, depending on what we're doing here. So we're going to zoom in on her face. And I think that her eyes need a color balance. And they need a color shift. So I'm on the background layer where the image sits. And I'm going to use the ellipse tool. All right, the ellipse tool, sorry, I just lost it. The ellipse tool is hidden under the marquee, the rectangular marquee selection tool. So there it is, elliptical marquee tool. And I'm going to draw a circle around her eye. Little trick here, if you don't get it lined up perfectly, you can hold Shift to make a perfect circle. But more importantly, you can let go and then hold space bar and move your selection around so that you get it perfectly on her eye, like that. And then holding shift, you'll notice that we are going to add to our selection. Okay, if we just drew another circle on her other eye, we would lose our original circle. So we're going to hold shift, same deal, we're going to draw her other eye like so. And you notice that both eyes are selected. Now here's just a little trick that I like to use. If you go to, if you press Command J, I believe it is, what it does is it takes whatever you had selected and puts them onto their own layer. So you can see that by pressing Command J, I'm able to take what I had selected and put it on a brand new layer. So I'm going to call that layer Eyes, like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fun here with her eyes. I'm going to go Command 0 to see the whole picture again. I really don't like those highlights. All right, I don't know, they look really bad, they look really fake. So on the eyes layer, we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, Color Balance, and we could tweak the color of those eyes, as you can see. So you can have some fun making her a demon or whatever you want. All right, so I can go with whatever color choice I want by using color balance. Okay, another way of doing this, you could hit cancel unless you like your choice there. Another way you could do this is by going to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. That's another good way of doing it. And the reason I like this way too is that it's got a colorize option, so you could turn that on and then just change your hue to whatever you want. So maybe she's got blue eyes today, I don't know. All right, then you can zoom in, you can just check. Ooh, you see we got some blue on her eyelids. We don't want that, so we can just use our eraser tool, shrink it down with using the brackets, and erase the part on her eyelid. Okay, so there you go. She got blue eyes and really nasty highlights, but whatever. Next, we're going to do the lips. Same deal here. This time we're going to use Quick Mask. Quick Mask is down at the bottom of your tools. Click that. Use a paintbrush and make sure it's set to black. And what you want to do here is you want to paint over just the lips themselves, just like this. Get the lips, just like that. They're going to go red. And hopefully you've used Quick Mask before, but you should know that what you see as red is actually your selection that you're painting onto the picture. I'll explain what that means in a sec. So I'm going over the entire lips. Perfect. And then we're going to click Quick Mask mode again to get out of that. And you notice that what we painted becomes a selection. Now, Quick Mask, for whatever reason, when you paint it with Quick Mask, it doesn't select the lips, which is what you painted. It selects everything else. So what you have to do is you have to invert your selection. You have to go Select, Inverse. So now the lips are selected. And then do the, select the background layer. And then press Command J to get your lips on a separate layer. Now I missed a couple spots. That's okay. We'll see how that looks. Same deal. Image adjustments, hue, saturation, colorize. Change your lip color to whatever you think Lady Gaga would have her lips that day. All right, so I'm just kind of viewing it from a far ways away. Purple. Oh, let's go with purple. Yeah, something like that. Matches her dress. All right. So there we go. So we got blue eyes, we got purple lips, we got highlights that look horrible in her hair, which again, I'm gonna tweak because they're really bugging me. They're really bad. All right, I don't know. They just don't look good. I'm so tempted to just delete them in this photo. I shouldn't even spend the time fixing them because they just do not look good. Just using an eraser here to tweak it. Okay, whatever. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some eyeliner. I think that's what it's called. I'm not a fashion expert. And the way that we're gonna do this, sorry, I should name my layers so I know what's on which. I'm gonna call that lips. And I'm gonna add another layer. This time, paintbrush, black. Okay, shortcut to that is this little, see where my cursor is? This little icon in the corner which got black and white, you can quickly shift or switch from black to white as your color choices. And go with a small brush, something like that. Make sure it's set soft. And just outline the eye like so. All right, a little bit more on top, like so. And around this part of her eye on the other eye. And around like that. Whew! That's thick. It's not how we're gonna leave it, don't worry. Now, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Tweak it so that you get the correct intensity that you like. Maybe that. Command 0 so we can see it all. And then just bring down your layer opacity so that it just kind of adds a little bit of makeup to her eye. That's not too bad. It looks okay. Trust me, it does not look fake. And oftentimes at the end when you ask people what you did to the picture, they can't tell you. They think that that's the way it was taken. Now let's do one more thing to Gaga here. Let's give her a tattoo on her arm here. We're gonna go with the barbed wire effect. So that was barbed.jpg. Open that with Photoshop. I don't think we're gonna use the other one. I changed my mind. Photoshop, there it is. And move that into the other picture. Now, press Command T, and you can transform it, hold Shift. And you probably know this, but if you go out the corners of the transform window, you can rotate it and make it at the correct angle that her arm is at. All right, and then after that, you can change the blending mode by going to your layer to something like multiply, or darken's a good one. Doesn't really change too much. Press Command T to shrink it down some more. Kind of make it fit her arm somewhat. You don't want it to look really bad. I mean, this is really just to show you what blending modes do more than anything, but press Enter. It looks like it's pasted on there, so we have to take our eraser. We're gonna erase where her hair would be covering it and maybe just on the edge. We also are going to blur it slightly because no tattoo is that perfect, so Gaussian blur the tattoo. All right, just to soften it up a tiny bit. Like I said, you don't want it super crisp because that doesn't look real. And then pull down your opacity a bit. So it looks like it's under the skin. That's still too fake looking, but you get the point. All right, you can really, really, really change somebody using blending modes and blurring and color adjustments. You can really, really tweak the look of somebody. very quickly and easily. And so maybe if you are, oh, sorry, tried to fix my highlights while I'm talking here because they just still bug me. So maybe you're planning on getting a new hairdo and you want to see how it's going to look on you. Or maybe you're getting new contacts or trying a new lipstick. God, I don't know. These are tips. Or hey, maybe you're getting a tattoo and you want to see how it's going to look on you before you actually get it. Anyways, these are tips, techniques that you can use so that you can digitally create makeup and you know, see how things are going to look before you actually get it done. Yeah, save this file. Go File, Save As to your desktop, and I'm just going to save it as Blonde 2. Good. One more thing to go here, and we are all done. Okay, so we're all done with Gaga here, and we're going to close her up. There we go. And we're going to move this over, and we're going to open up the image called On the Stairs. Open with Photoshop. Command 0, let's see it all. All right, with this image, we are going to create the selective color effect, and every single wedding I shoot, people say, hey, I want that effect where something's in color and the rest is black and white, and I know exactly what they're talking about. It is pretty popular. So here's how you do it, really quick and easy. We're going to go to the background layer. We're going to hold Control or right click, and we're going to duplicate the background layer. So now we have a copy of the background original picture sitting on top of the original picture. And turn off the eye on the top layer and highlight the background layer. Go to Image, Adjustments, Black and White, and let's get rid of the color. Now the nice thing about this window is you can tweak the colors to whatever you want, and I usually do. I usually spend a while making sure that the black and white goes exactly how I want it to go. But for the sake of the tutorial, to get through this, we're just going to hit OK. So now I've got a color version sitting on top of a black and white version, just like that. And we're going to highlight the top version, the color version. With that highlighted or selected, we're going to click the Add Layer Mask button. And what that's going to do is it's going to split our layer into two. We now have the original picture on the left and we have a mask on the right hand side. And this should make sense since we did it in the last tutorial. We're going to go to the brush tool. All right, shortcut B if you want to use shortcuts. And we're going to make sure that our foreground color is set to black. And I like to make sure that my background color is set to white. You can do that really quick and easy by using the default background, foreground colors right here. And you can switch your colors by pressing X to swap between the two really quick and easy. Now remember, black hides and white shows, so using the black, we are going to paint out the color. Okay, I'm going to go with a big brush. Remember the shortcut bracket keys to change your brush size really quick. And take out all the color except for the reds in the bouquets and on the guy's ties. That's what we're going to leave in color here. All right, so we're just going to shrink down our brush as we get closer in here. We are going to shrink the brush. Whoa, I went into his tie. Just Command Z to undo that. As we get closer and we start honing in on, you know, the area we want to affect, we need to change our brush size smaller and smaller and smaller as we get closer to those fine details. I call it the spiral effect, where you're starting out really big from the outside, and as you spiral in on what you want to you know, affect in the image, you start going smaller and smaller and smaller with your brush size. Now, if you screw up, all right, I can see a couple spots where I messed up, usually over the guy's ties. Now we can zoom in. And remember, the beauty about layer masks is, yes, we are erasing or we're taking away the parts we don't want, but let's say I screw up, like right there, I just did it as I was talking, not even intentionally. I just erased that part. I can really quickly press X, change it to white, go with a small brush and just paint that color back in, because what I'm doing is I'm showing the parts that I actually want that I erased by accident. So you can see that one got hit too. All right, so again, if I was doing this for a customer, then I'm going to be really careful and I'm going to make sure that everything looks perfect, because you don't want them to say that it looks amateur. You want it to look as good as possible. So there's the effect. That's what it looks like. I'm sure you've seen those before, and I'm going to just zoom out in a second after I go over these little areas. Like so. There we go. That's the effect. Super fast, super easy. It's all on a mask. If you want to see what your masks look like, you could press Option. Really nasty looking mask that I made. Hold Option and click it and you can see your mask. But who cares? That's the effect. And like I said, a lot of people like that look in their images. So I would say use it. I'd say keep that in your toolkit in case you need to throw an effect on an image to impress somebody with your creative abilities. Now there are a lot of apps out there that try to do this effect on any image really quick, so you can do it on your phone or whatever. I have tried them. They don't really work as good as they say they do. Anyways, there you go. Quick and easy. And when you get really good at it, you can do one of those in, I don't know, less than 5 minutes for sure. Okay, so save that. On the stairs, sure, to your desktop, save it, and we are done.